Okay, so welcome to your member interaction webinar. I'm going to kind of take you through, I suppose, the approaches and the mindset shifts that you progressively have to make throughout your career in approaching this topic, because it's one of the things that a lot of personal trainers struggle with the most. And it's not so much the application of it, it's more so the thought of it. And it's how the personal trainer themselves actually see what it is and how they see themselves and so on. A lot of PTs will see themselves as kind of sales driven people, and they don't like that, so they don't like to push that on people, and with that can bring a hell of a lot of anxiousness towards this. And with you being in a pure gym with so many members, it's then becomes very easy not to do this, because in a lot of cases you can then go on to take members into clients in a reactive manner. And if you've been on the foundation course, you would have gone through the reasons why that's probably not the best approach, because you have no control of it whatsoever. So this whole webinar kind of takes you through, I suppose, a bit of a mindset shift and a couple of approaches that you may want to use and implement. But hopefully by the end of it, I just want you to feel a little bit more confident around the whole member interaction kind of area itself. So let's kick on and give you some considerations first. So my initial consideration that I want you to think about before we actually get into kind of certain approaches and how to take action and that type of stuff is understanding the perception that you have. If you've been on the PT Business Foundation course, it's one of the opening slides at the start of the day, and we have a bit of a laugh and a joke about this, but in essence, it's something that you're up against. And if you don't try and overcome that, then it's very, very different to change people's mindset towards who you are, what you do, and their understanding of what you do and so on. And there is definitely a disconnect between what members think you do and what you actually do, and their perception of you in terms of, I suppose they see you sometimes as this elitist, this loves training, loves eating clean constantly, all of that type of stuff. He's very motivated all the time, and I think it's up to you guys, especially from a member interaction standpoint, to really close that disconnect with just general conversation, because there's no truer saying that people buy from people. So the relatable side of you has to come out as much as possible. So showing that you're not the type of person to be motivated all the time, you're not the type of person to potentially eat clean all the time, all of that type of stuff will come out in general conversation on the gym floor. And let's be real, there's a lot of personal trainers will spend more time on social media trying to generate leads and having conversations there than they actually do in a 5,000 member facing gym. So that needs to change, and the only person that can change that, unfortunately, is you. So hopefully after this kind of webinar itself, it's going to start to make you feel a little bit more positive in and around this. But as I said, the first thing I want you to make you aware of is 9 times out of 10 perception is sometimes reality in a lot of times, because let's have a look into this. Like, their perception is all them things that I've just said, and that is actually you. You love to train. You kind of, yes, don't get me wrong, you love to indulge in foods that they indulge in. You love to go out at the weekends and all of that type of stuff that they like and stuff. But a lot of the things that we live and breathe is so far away from what they believe and enjoy that that disconnect is just so apparent. So when we say perception versus reality, that's true, but normally it is reality as well. So it's up to you to interact with members on the gym floor, let them see you for you, to start to close that perception and actually get them to accept that, yes, you love training and nutrition, but it doesn't mean to say that you don't have days where you really can't be bothered doing them things, or days where, I don't know, you go out at the weekends, you go to different types of takeaways and fast food restaurants and so on. So just to be really aware of that, because there's only you who can close that gap, and that comes with, like I said, interacting with members on the gym floor. The second point is something that we bring up quite often. As I said a minute ago, the majority of members don't enjoy the things that we do, okay? And when they're in the gym environment, they're probably not very comfortable. It's not something that they enjoy too much. So when they are there, it's absolutely your role as a self-employed business person and as a coach to go and make them feel as comfortable as possible. And with that is one of the biggest things that I feel a lot of personal trainers miss, is that you have to become very, very good customer service people within your business. Now, let's kind of ignore Pure Gym for the time being. Like, if you want to be represented well, you want a great reputation, and you want service and customer service to be the forefront of your business and of your brand. Now think of this in a sense of, if you employed someone, it's absolutely what you would expect. So sometimes we need to take this step back and think, actually, before people even buy into your knowledge, your experience, your skill set, your specialized areas, they need to know you care first. So as the quote says, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Building relationships on the gym floor is absolutely paramount to your success. And people, coming back to the perception point, until you do that and be consistent with that, people will always have that perception of the stereotypical personal trainer, which I'm sure that you'd love to close that disconnect over time. But essentially what I'm getting at here is, before people, and I'm jumping probably a unit or two here, but before people buy from you, they need to know, like, and trust you as a person. Before the brand. And then that's where, off the back of it, their value for you will go through the roof, just by the basics of going out of your way to remember their name, remember what they do, remember the times they come in, what they did last week. All of that type of stuff is absolutely huge, and actually it's probably more important to most people on your gym floor than you holding an S&C qualification, for example. Okay. My next point is something that will probably come a little bit further down the line, and that's establishing some type of market. Now, right now, if you're in the early days of your PT kind of business and PT kind of career, that narrowing down your market, and the thought of narrowing down your market, you may think will be quite mad. But in this sense, it really helps us to interact with the members that we understand. We know their frustrations, we know their fears, because we've gone out of the way to understand them more. And actually, in some cases, you might be able to relate because you've been through this yourself. So although it's not the most important thing in the world in the first initial, probably 3-6 months or so, if you can get that in order quite early by having this avatar and target market, it's only going to help you when you're approaching members on the gym floor, because you absolutely know what to talk about. And that might be non-fitness, non-training related. Your market might be watching a TV show that's on right now that everyone's going mad for, and you might open up conversations about that. It might be a professional coming off the back of work, and you might open up about that. It honestly just depends on the demographic to then where you can start your conversations in a most relaxed and relatable way, because that's what matters. So establishing your target market is crucial. Maybe not now at this stage, but further down the line, it's absolutely going to help you. And as I go through in one of the next webinars on this marketing section, what having a target market will do is it will save you time, because you know where to approach them, what times they'll be in the building, what they're passionate about, all of that type of stuff. So yeah, it's an easy conversation starter. They're just some real good considerations before you go out there and start to implement any types of interaction. And one thing just before I move on to the next slide is that when we're going out there to interact and engage with members, we need to really manage our expectations. And what I mean by that is creating anxiousness in and around this area of going out and speaking to people you don't know will only come off the back of really warped expectations about kind of lead generation and marketing and so on. You absolutely have no right to go out there and try and sell to someone straight away. We have to go out there and serve and support people to get them to know, like, and trust us. If you go with that approach of serving, supporting, getting people to know, like, trust your brand and reputation and so on, that then will probably remove that awkwardness, that anxiousness that you may have about this area, and you'll probably be more authentic by doing that. So just a bit of an additional consideration there. On to the next one. So I thought it'd be really helpful for you to see just some real basic interaction examples. Now, this is past kind of the soft skills of hi, how are you, that type of stuff. You should be doing that on a daily basis anyway, being really open on the gym floor. Hopefully being very approachable. We have a a real good perception within the industry of, I say good, it's a bad perception of not being approachable at all. And a lot of personal trainers get frustrated that sometimes that they can be represented as a pure gym PT and not their own brand. Now, this is where you do stand out as a self-employed PT, being open, being approachable, smiling, helping people, supporting people on the gym floor. That should become like natural in your day, and it should become rhythm and routine. It should be behavior that you do on a daily basis, and that you really focus on doing that. Don't get me wrong, there'll be days when you don't feel like doing that, but at the end of the day, as part of your role, I can't emphasize this enough, you are a customer service advisor. You are the main customer service support within your business, and you need to show that from the off. So some examples that you may go into, like if I was out on the gym floor now, this is a perfect prime example. Hi, my name is Anne. I'm helping people out in this area of the gym. How is your training going today? Like, it's a real good conversation starter. You'll probably get some really good open feedback. So let's kind of break that down. I've introduced myself, probably shook their hands, so I'm a little bit more open, smiling. I'm there to help. I'm helping people out in this area of the gym. Now, how often have you seen or heard a personal trainer do that in any gym that you've been in? It doesn't happen very often. So the fact that you are doing it will be huge to a lot of people. How is your training going today is a really open question. They'll probably turn around and say it's going well because they've got that barrier of not knowing you. Then you can go into the detail of what they're doing. And there's so many things that could spiral off the back of that. But I think just having the objective here of gathering their name and a little bit of information about them will really kind of set you up to succeed going forward. Because let's be real, what you have to do is become very, very confident and competent in socially kind of speaking to people. And it's something that we need to get better at. We practice all of our time practicing deadlifts and squats and all of that type of stuff for our own development, but sometimes we don't actually take time out to develop our own social skills. And this is where it'll come in with just certain conversation starters like that. Another one for you. Hi, how are you? Get the response. How long have you been a member? Again, that information, let's break that down. If they've been a member for 6 to 12 months, like simple questions like, have you had an induction? What types of stuff do you train? How often do you come? There's so many different conversations just off the back of them 1 or 2 questions. What do you usually do when you come here? That gives you a bit of information if they do classes, if they do certain stuff on the gym floor and so on. And then you can go into maybe a bit of support and help, maybe start to talk about pieces of kit they haven't used before, especially at busy peak times. Like give them some information about maybe this is what you could do with this piece of kit if it is a little bit busy, because you've just mentioned that. There's so many conversation starters off the back of that, and hopefully it'll really, really support you in seeing this in a different light instead of, and I can't emphasize this enough, you're not going out there to sell to people, you're going out there to approach, support and serve people so they've got a better understanding of you as a person, so they can know, like and trust you. And then this could lead into certain things like you may do an on-the-spot induction there and then, you might do a bit of technique correction, some relevant competition that you might be doing right now, and I don't mean like a 1RM deadlift or anything like that. That might not, it might be for your demographic, but in the most cases it won't be. It might be that you're doing something simple like a raffle. It might be doing a guess the weight competition. You might be doing most improved plank. It could be anything that leads conversation off the back of. And then my last one, a really effective kind of talking and discussion tool, is a questionnaire, because that really helps you gather information, and then when you have further conversations you can really position your conversation at the right level to be able to get over that anxiousness that you may have currently. So then you can actually listen and pull out conversation pieces, so then you can paraphrase things back to them. You can offer some advice and some suggestions of what they're struggling with. So much you can do. But hopefully that's give you a couple of examples that really support you. And again, we go into this in the Business Foundation course. But one of the things I will say is, as part of the Business Coach, we go really heavy in the first 4 weeks of just doing the basics, which is just meeting and greeting people. Now, if you meet and greet people into the gym and in a certain area, them 2 types of questions and conversations will lead into so much more from most members, okay? So hold confidence in that, because it will really help you and a hell of a lot of members on the gym floor. So just a bit of a summary on this. You are a self-employed business, so you're absolutely here to sell. but you have no right to do that without serving first. What you'll find is the majority of personal trainers who, like I said at the very start, who see it as selling will be anxious and have a really put up a barrier towards approaching members, basically saying that they don't need to do that because members come to them and so on. But I can pretty much guarantee that if a hell of a lot of members start coming to you for PT without you building relationships first, you'll lose control of your business. And I'll touch on that more on a different unit. People need to know, like, and trust you. I've said it enough. I don't need to say it anymore. The only way you're going to do that is by helping them on the gym floor and not coming across unauthentic and trying to directly sell to them, which is my next point. Manage your expectations on that. Like, it shouldn't be a mindset of, oh, I'm going out to book in as many tasters or consultations as possible. No. You're going out there to help, serve, and support people. Consistently supporting people helps you gather information about your market to provide a relevant service, okay? So be relentlessly curious about people. Gather as much information as you can on what frustrates them, why they're struggling to stay consistently motivated, what things they're struggling with, what have they tried in the past, how have they overcome barriers of theirs, what barriers do they have. All of that type of stuff will come off the back of conversations. The more proactive you are in approaching people, the more control you have on all areas of your business. That's just a fact, and I'll go through that in the next unit, as I keep saying. And then my last one is one that I hear so much, and probably one that I told myself early on in my career, but like coming through it now with experience, you have to understand that members using head or earphones is a barrier of yours, not theirs. Just because you don't want to be disrupted during your session doesn't mean to say that members who are out here really trying to get results but can't see them, that they don't need your help, because they absolutely do. So just that one nod or that one hello that takes an earpiece out or their headphones off can really generate a good conversation sometimes to build up your reputation and to help people in the 3 things that I keep saying: know, like, and trust you. That's the member interaction webinar, and I'll go into a little bit more on how you will build on that in further units and webinars. Thanks, guys.